Magnetic Marketing members and Dan Kennedy aficionados. Darren Spindler back with you, and I have now with me one of the best students of Dan Kennedy on Planet Dan, one of the smartest people here. And not only is she just an awesome direct response marketer and sales superstar, Robin is actually one of my favorite humans on the planet. And one of the reasons for that is she not only is an awesome marketer and a salesperson, but she, in her business, have contributed more than $1 million now to St. Jude Children's Hospital. And if you know of St. Jude and the great work they do, this is just an incredible feat. It's an incredible cause. And one of the things that Dan teaches us, right, is the more we give, the more we get. I mean, this is a universal lesson that very few people pay attention to. And Robin lives that out every single day. So I'm super excited to interview her about her direct response marketing success. But frankly, people can learn a lot more from Robin and some of the things that she does outside of the four walls of her work. And I think it'll bring more success to you too. So Robin, welcome.
Hey, thank you guys. I appreciate it. That's quite a statement saying I'm one of the smartest. I don't know about smart. I'm very tenacious, but I'm smart enough.
Yes, you are very tenacious. Actually, in a phone call, well, actually it wasn't a phone call. It was a conversation that Dan, Adam, and I were having. And Adam was telling Dan that I was essentially the tornado who came into the office and ripped the place up, which it needed. And Dan said, well, Robin is a tornado too. And, you're an incredible person. You take fast action and definitely tenacious. I know last year, your big event, you guys had, you went to an incredible virtual event and format right when everybody else was just putting out flat Zooms. And you guys did it in record time and had an amazing event. Do you want to just share the thumbnail of what happened, and then we'll get into your bit? Why don't we talk about your business and talk about what happened, and then let's get into this interview.
Yeah, I mean, well, just so everyone knows kind of what I do, I guess classic information marketing business is how we started out. Our niche, our vertical, are IT professionals. So these are, the technical term is an MSP, a managed service provider. They're essentially the outsourced IT departments for small and medium businesses. You know, just like you outsource payroll and legal, IT is the one. They're not actually software developers, although some of them do. They are more of the guys that install your laptop, put in the antivirus, put in the cybersecurity protections. Our guys do a lot of that. Back your data up, and they're the help desk you call. So that's my audience, relatively small vertical. I think there's somewhere maybe 60,000. I heard recently there's 170 worldwide, but I don't know about that. But so that is our vertical. So we sell information products, coaching programs, done for you services. We are the largest reseller of Infusionsoft Now Keep. And that division of our business we'll do about 6 million this year. The mastermind groups are like, they'll do somewhere in the $8 to $10 million this year. We also have Big Red Media and Big Red Virtual, and media is an advertising platform, if you will. I say platform. It's a media company, and we sell marketing and advertising services and solutions to bigger companies like your Dell, your Microsoft, your Intels that people would know, others in this industry. And so we're cranking on all fronts. That's the business in sort of a nutshell. Back in 2019, we were 3 weeks away from our big annual event. The event costs us about $1.4 million to produce in speakers, food, beverage, hotel, marketing, advertising. It's where all of our clients come in. We had about 1,200 people registered, plus, another 500-600 just in sponsors coming in. So it was like, all in, it's like near 2,000 people coming in. And we were notified that we had to shut down, forced. And so we decided that we didn't want to cancel, but we would somehow figure out how to do it in a virtual capacity. And so we kicked back the event 3 weeks. So we had a grand total of 6 weeks. We revised the speakers, the topics, because the topics were largely irrelevant at that point because COVID was changing everything. And in our industry, being in tech, there were things, there was opportunities that we had to talk about, what to do, how to approach it. So we changed all the topics, all the speakers, the venue. We did it in 6 weeks. We ended up with 5,300, 5,000. It was over 5,000 attendees that came into there. We had a whole virtual trade show floor. And that was during that 6 weeks. It wasn't all sunshine and roses. I had to do close to $1 million in refunds, cash out of the pocket, because it was mostly sponsors that said, oh, if you're not going to deliver an in-person event, that's what I bought, then I'm out. Most of our attendees stuck with us, not all, but it was maybe 5% canceled, asked for a refund, but the rest just they hung with us, and we actually got more people attending. We had to send everybody home during that time. So in addition to moving the event, changing everything, the venue, figuring out the AV and the tech, we had to send everybody home. We had to revise our entire marketing funnel, because the normal, hey, let's just pretend COVID's not happening, wasn't going to work. So we had to revise our entire marketing funnel. I had new employees starting, which was a complete, starting that with everybody going home, revising our marketing, revising everything about the event. It was a crazy time. And, I'm very hard on myself, and I always feel I could do things better. Always. I'm never satisfied entirely, and, makes for a hell of a life. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I do more, but, I think looking back, I don't think we could have done anything better.
Yeah, no, I remember when you guys came out with that, your set was amazing. You guys had the boxing ring, you had the car in the ring, but you also now have built out of that a whole new business. And, the smart folks on Planet Dan and the smart entrepreneurs around the world have figured out actually how to make this situation a winner for them, not a loser. And I think that's a trait that we've all learned from Dan and this community, and we should, we can all be grateful for that.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Thank you.
So, Robin, why don't we talk a little bit now about how you attract more high-paying clients and close big, fat deals using sales consultations with Renegade Millionaire principles and magnetic marketing. And what I think is going to be great about this presentation and this interview is you work a lot in the B2B space, both you attracting businesses to you and you attracting businesses to your clients and working with your software companies to use their dollars to help get more software sold. So why don't we dig a little bit into how you use direct response to do that?
So our clients, as well as my company, we sell via consults. So, in direct response, if you have a retail store, not to say you can't sell by consults. I know Bill Glazer was very successful by adding that very non-traditional way of selling into the retail space, which is, come in for when he had his men's clothing stores, come in for a private consultation with a designer, and we're going to do that. So, but in tech, a lot of what needs to be sold has to be sold. I say has to be. It should be sold by consult. And I know I'm always trying to figure out, hey, how do I put a group of people in a room and sell them a contract? But there are certain things that really do require a one-on-one consultation before they're sold. And so everything we're doing in direct response is about generating a lead, someone who is interested in the topic, if you will. Generating a lead, and you're using software, but it's not necessarily software. It's IT services and support. It is in some cases software. In our cases, it's marketing done. We do done for you services. We have Infusion. So we call it our MAP program, our marketing automation platform, because it's not just Keep, it's a bundle of different software and services. So, in order to sell those things, we sell by consult. And by selling by consult, we generate a lead who's interested in the thing, then we get them on a consult, then we're selling them a bundle of services. And we find that selling by consult, if it's done correctly, you should be able to build the ticket and sell at a higher price point than, if I'm just selling a toolkit, an information product, I can put up a web page and sell that for $1,000. If I'm going to sell somebody into a $25,000 coaching program plus another $12,000 for, marketing automation services and maybe some done for you, That's hard to sell off of a webinar. It's not, I'm never going to say impossible, because I always want to say what's possible, but from my experience, it's a lot better to do lead generation and then move someone to a consult, like a baby step. And then on that consult, sell them into a solution. And you tend to get a bigger buy when you're doing that process.
Well, not only that, you have a better client after a consultation, because I'm sure that when you're having a conversation with these leads, there are some who don't belong with you.
Mm-hmm.
So,
true. I mean, well, they creep in no matter what, but you're right. I mean, we just had a guy. So we have our Godfather campaign. We've been doing this now for 6 or 7 years. And the offer on the consult is simple. Sit this marketing consultation. If you feel like we've wasted your time, we'll write you a check for $100, right? And we've been doing that for 6, 7 years. I think we've written checks maybe 4 times, and we're talking thousands of consults. And, most people don't ask for it. But I mean, just as an example, there was a guy who sat the consult. After every consultation that happens in my organization, an email goes out that's automated that says, hey, this is an automated email, and it's from me. But if you will reply and let me know how it went, I promise you, I will personally respond. It's not, and that's the truth. It does, so not everybody responds. It's probably only about 5% even bother to respond. So it doesn't gunk up my inbox. But what it does allow is if they have a bad experience, I can jump in and try and salvage it, or I can help try and close it or something like that. It keeps my salespeople sharp, because if they're screwing up, I'm going to know about it. So anyway, I just recently, we had a guy who was upset because the consult was more of a sales pitch, he said, than a true consultation. And he's like, I'm not going to ask for the $100, but, I just wanted to let you know. So I said, well, okay, what can I do for you to make it right? And his response came back was like, he had like a 10-point list of things he wanted that included a person, like he wanted me to send him a contract in writing, me personally signing it, saying that about our money back guarantee, and he wanted $100 off. And it was like this whole laundry list. And I just said, the check for $100 is in the mail. Thank you very much. So we sent him and that's not the first time I've done that, where we send him $100 to go away.
Yep.
And that is the best thing. Now, again, it's not the majority. It's definitely not the majority. And, I got salespeople who live on commission. So they're going to, if somebody looks like a complete doofus, and they can close them, they probably are. And then I got to clean up the mess later. So you don't ever get rid of them 100%. But, the key to lead generation really is putting people through a series of tiny little hops, and because even when they get the toolkit, that's just our entry level. We don't even make money on the toolkit anymore. Like, we make some, but not much. It's really like it's just like a setup fee, if you will. It's like an elaborate marketing plan to ascend people. Like, we want to separate the wheat from the chaff. It's like a giant self-liquidating offer. Now, I used to make money on the toolkit, but we're hitting market saturation. I've been doing this, however, like this technology marketing toolkit. I actually looked at it. We incorporated in 2004, but I've been on my own since 2002. So, we used to make a shit ton of money on selling a toolkit for a couple $1,000s, and, it cost $300 to package and print the stupid thing and ship it off. And you have the content on a website. And I made a lot of money, but, in the last, I'd say 8 years or so, we're really hitting market saturation. We don't have a big niche. And once you kind of get beyond 10% market saturation, it gets a lot more expensive, not impossible, not difficult, but just more expensive to wring out those customers. So I'm sorry, I think I wandered around a little bit on that, but.
No, that was great. It's super instructional for folks. And certainly, one of the things that Dan and I are going to talk about later today is, we make sales to have the opportunity to create a customer as direct response marketers, right? And advertisers versus, geez, I made a sale today and I put $3,000 in a checking account. Well, that's not necessarily true, especially today as costs have risen, and especially in situations like you, as you're getting deeper into a niche, it definitely is more difficult, more expensive in order to get further along after you've got past that 10%, because that is a real hurdle once you get beyond there.
You're right.
Robin,
exactly.
Why don't we talk briefly about your done for you, implemented advertising that you do for your members. From what I understand it is you actually do, there's some money available from some of the big name software companies, and they take that money and they're willing to invest in having campaigns run for them. And you actually do that in a direct response fashion rather than the goofy stuff they normally do. Do you want to talk about how that works and the results it drives for both your company and for your clients?
Okay, well, so if I pull back a little bit, this is another strategy philosophy, if you will, that I picked up from Dan, and that is to always think about what's the maximum amount of money I can make from anything that I'm doing, right? And so we started out years ago working with our sponsors. So if you go to our website, you go to any of our event websites, robinsbigseminar.com, which that has our sponsor. You get an idea who sponsors our events. They're telecom companies. They're software. Some of them are software. A lot of cybersecurity companies. They have big marketing and advertising budgets. And so the first step for me was starting to sell sponsorship, and it seemed like nobody in our niche was selling sponsorship. And it's crazy. I even look still at Tony Robbins and I go, holy shit. If he just had a sponsor hall, he could add millions of dollars on his event, every event. In fact, when we run events now, the goal is for the sponsorship to pay for 100% of the cost. So we start every event profitable before we even use the event to sell anything. And we've been able to do that. So that's the first ring. And then, we have these MSPs that are in our audience, and the companies that are selling to them, a lot of them. So just so people can understand, so our guys are resellers of technology. So they compile it. The term used to be VAR, value-added reseller. So basically, they take all these component parts of IT, and they're multiple functions: email, Microsoft Office, backup, cybersecurity, email. You name internet connectivity, their phones, and they're multifunction that they bring all this tech together. They bundle it into a service, and then they sell it to a customer. So some of the software companies don't sell direct, just like Ford Motors doesn't sell direct to consumers. They have to have a Ford dealer that sells the car. So, I figured out that, a big bottleneck to them selling more software is the limitation of the MSP who doesn't know how to marketing, can't do marketing. And so we also get paid by some of those sponsors to create marketing campaigns. They're all direct response, lead generation marketing campaigns. It's all over the board. We do everything offline and online, digital and print. And we create these marketing campaigns. We set them up in Keep, which is our marketing automation platform for the members. So there's a campaign running, plus we give them the emails, the telemarketing scripts, the direct mail piece, the sequence of how to execute that campaign. And it gets paid by the sponsors. They pay us to create those campaigns. And sometimes the MSP themselves can go to these vendors and they can get what are called MDF funds, marketing development funds. And so the marketing development funds basically pay us. They use those funds to pay us. So we're kind of sitting in a really cool triangle where money's coming both ways.
Yep.
And the kind of campaigns, like I said, it just depends on the campaign. If it's a cross-sell campaign where they're selling into an existing client base, it's a different thing than if it's a prospecting. And we do LinkedIn, Facebook, retargeting, websites, direct mail, telemarketing campaigns. And when we do a campaign, we don't do one-shot anything. So everything we do is strategic multimedia. It's a sequential multimedia campaign. Which means we don't just send a letter. We send a letter and then we're sending an email that references the letter, and then making a phone call, and then sending another email and another phone call, and then sending a message on LinkedIn, and then doing retargeting on the landing page. So if we happen to get somebody to click on a link and go there, we retarget them. So everything we do is that sequential multimedia, multi-step marketing campaign. And so, our guys get amazing results. From that, our Producers Club members, who are our top members doing most of our campaigns, they're growing at the rate of about 18 to 20% year over year in an industry that's growing maybe at about 10%. So they're nearly double the growth rate because they're doing the marketing and getting the customers. And our clients fared very, very well during COVID because they had the recurring revenue, they had the campaigns. We worked with them all that during that time to reposition, retransition, sell via Zoom, the whole 9 yards. So I hope that answers your question, Darren. I'm not sure.
No, I mean, it's great. I think there's, a lot of things unpacking there, right? Number one, you're using other people's money, which is something Dan teaches us all the time, right? And you're also teaching, you're providing a value that makes it very difficult to leave you as a provider, because you're handing over on a silver platter customers, clients to your clients, and for you to retain your sponsors as well, because you're providing them with a very valuable piece of business, because you're driving customers to their software. So you have the ultimate situation where you're helping both your client and your sponsors.
Right. I mean, and by the way, so if someone's sitting out there and they're an info marketer, every vertical has suppliers to their vertical, right? Dental offices, restaurants, it doesn't matter. So one of the things you can think about is who is selling to these restaurant owners, these dental practices, these chiropractors, and how do I get in the way of that money that's coming in? Because a lot of these companies they're big corporations. They get budgets every year that they have to spend. It's selling to those corporations. You got to take a different approach. I learned you can't use the traditional information marketing approach. It's very, very similar. It's just you tweak it. But these are people in corporate America that are given budgets that they have to spend. If they don't spend them, their budget this next year is based on what they spend this year. So if there's leftover, they got to find a way to spend it because they won't get a budget next year. So if you can figure out, so if you're an information marketer or you're targeting those people, think about who is selling their products and services to these guys. How do I get in the way of that money? And if you're a dental practice out there, another thing you should be thinking is, how do I go to my suppliers and ask for marketing funds? I don't care if you're buying dental equipment or you are in a restaurant. My friend Michael Attia sells catering profit systems, which it's a software that helps restaurants to sell catering. All the big food distributors all have MDF funds, marketing development funds. And most of the time what these big companies do, because they don't know what else to do, is they'll go hire a marketing agency to create, like, here's a flyer that you drag and drop your logo on, and if you do that, we'll give you money. Literally, it's that dumb. And yep. So, there's if you're a small business, go to your vendors and ask them for marketing development funds. If you're an info marketer, look for who's selling into your channel. They're also good JV partners for doing webinars and developing toolkits and other things for their reseller line.
I know that, in the med spa space, the cool sculpting folks do something very similar to this. They spend money, they get some of it back from what used to be Allergan, owned by somebody new again. But same deal, right? They want people to know that they have their machine inside their med spa, and they're willing to put money up in order to, because the way they get paid is by cycle. So the more the machine runs, the more that Allergan gets paid, and they want people advertising.
Right. Yeah, so you could do events. You could run, like in that case, our guys get paid as well. I'm working with a client right now who has an event going on in Dallas for Department of Defense contractors because there's this new regulation, CMMC, that is requiring Department of Defense contractors to have a certain certification of cybersecurity because, the government's getting hacked, right? So, we're doing an event, a seminar, and she's got about 4 different vendors that are all paying her to do this event. So it's marketing that's paying for itself. In fact, she's making a profit on it because, the money that she's collectively getting is going to exceed the cost of the event. We're going to use that for marketing as well. So, the goal is not to profit from the event, but she could, because any excess money we want to plow it into marketing to get as many butts and seats. But this is the kind of money that's out there in big corporations, and most people don't touch it. They don't know it exists, and it's there for the asking. You just gotta sniff around, and you'll find it.
Just gotta go and get your piece of it.
Yeah.
So, Rob, why don't we talk about the 2 types of lead generation that you do? First off, you do some with buyer's guides. So one of them that you've sent to me, or I think it's actually included in the book, is the 21 critical questions you should ask your next IT consultant before signing a contract to avoid being ripped off, overcharged, and left with a giant mess. Why don't you talk about these buyer guides, and how do you title them? How do you design them in order to get what you want, which is the consultation?
Yeah, I mean, so this is worth writing down, and that is, and people forget this all the time, prospects aren't solution aware, they're problem aware. And so the mistake that so many companies make is they advertise the solution, but they don't talk about the problem. And they assume, and it's a giant assumption, that the prospect's going to connect the dots and understand that this solution that they're selling is the answer to the problem that they have. And that's why, we're talking about why advertising fails. That's a big reason. So I don't think there's just one type of lead generation. You want to have multiple lead generation bait out there in the marketplace, because, for me, we sell marketing automation software. I mean, it's a bundle of different things. But if I went out to my audience and said, hey, we sell the best marketing automation system for MSPs, buy some, I ain't going to get any sales, because they're not out there thinking they need us. They don't even know how that's going to help them. What they're aware of is that they're in a dysfunctional, broken business. They don't know how to grow. They don't know how to get customers. They don't understand marketing, and they don't know how to fix it. So if I'm going to put out a lead generation campaign, I got to put why most MSPs businesses fail and what to do about it, or something like that. And in there, make the case. One part of why they fail is because they don't have a place to build a list and communicate with their customers and do follow-ups and sales pipeline and all these things. And then I can get them on a consultation and then sell them that thing. So the buyer's guide, I think I want to say, I mean, I haven't sat and pondered every single business in the world, but I would imagine that most businesses would benefit from some kind of buyer's guide to what they sell, because we all do this. The minute we make a decision to buy something, a car, a pool, a realtor, a financial advisor, we get on Google and we start looking for how to pick the best whatever. I mean, with our house, we're having to rip up our entire pool deck because the builder screwed up, and it's a giant expensive problem. And so we're in the middle of that, and I'm trying to think, well, since we're ripping it up, what kind of material do I want the pool deck? So I'm doing all kind of research on what's the best high-end luxury pool deck material, what's good, what's not good, because I don't want to be where I'm at again, right? So I'm looking it up, and there was one company out there that had a sort of a buyer's guide to pool decks. Like, what are the different materials? What are the pros and cons, et cetera? And so, and there was only one I could find, and I opted into their list, and that's the one we are going to go with, because they educated me and they gave me exactly what I was looking for. The problem I was trying to solve was what's the best pool deck and material. And since they were the ones that educated me, they got the business because they were the ones that educated me. So they didn't send me a postcard that said we do pool decking material and we're really, really good at it. They published out there a buyer's guide to the problem I was trying to solve, and that naturally led me right to them.
That's awesome. And if you need another pool contact, I have a member who does high-end custom pools, and I'll send you his information if you want to ask him any questions. I'm certain he'd be happy to have a conversation with you.
Okay.
But he does. He's a custom pool guy, and he actually has a buyer's guide, and it's very interesting, right? I'm going through the same thing. I just fired one realtor, interviewed 4 more, and oddly, only 2 of about 7 realtors actually had real sales presentations and information. And the one I ended up hiring was one of the 2 that actually ended up doing it, and this person got my house sold in 5 days instead of 6 months, which was interesting. So very cool. Why don't we talk about your second type, which is your sales consultation? So one of the titles that you have on it is a cybersecurity risk assessment to know for sure if your computer systems and data are truly secure from ransomware, hackers, rogue employees, and countless other hazards. Again, it's got a great title. You want to talk about who that attracts and why you write these in such a specific way?
Yeah, so when we're doing marketing and advertising, if we're sending out, we still use direct mail, and PS, direct mail still works if you know what you're doing. So my guys send out like, and so, okay. So another thing is with our clients, everybody wants to do email marketing, but how do you get someone's email address legitimately and not spam them, right? Because especially when you're selling IT services and support, you don't want to be sending somebody a link saying, click on this link to take a cybersecurity pen test or something.
Don't you just send out all those LinkedIn inbox things and just spam people that way?
Well, at least with LinkedIn, if I'm on LinkedIn, I signed up for that. I can control my, what gets, but when you just get someone's random email and you send them some random, message, spam works, I guess, to some degree, but that's not what we teach guys. So like our guys, we know exactly who our customer is. We can build that list. And the goal is to get them to opt in. Well, how do you communicate with somebody who you don't have permission to email yet? Well, you can call them on the phone because these guys are in business. So the do not call list doesn't apply B2B. So they can call them, they can mail them. We can maybe message them on LinkedIn, but not everybody's on LinkedIn. And not everybody checks their LinkedIn. We send messages, it's funny, and I'll finally see a response 3 years later. Like, oh my God, I can't, like that pops up. I'm like, holy shit, I sent that 3 years ago. So not everybody's on LinkedIn, not everybody's on Facebook. And so how do you communicate with these guys? Well, you can mail them, you can call them, you can canvas them, walk in their office. You can try to build the audience on Facebook, and you can connect with them on LinkedIn. So we're still doing it. So anyway, when we're doing, let's say, for example, if we're doing a direct mail campaign and we are sending it to somebody, the offer in it is to do some sort of free cybersecurity risk assessment. And then, but if you're not ready for that, here's a free report. So we do like the 1-2 punch, right? And then the other offer, which is, we don't call it a free consultation because that's like saying free sales call. But if we say, if you're unsure if your company, who knows, do you feel supremely confident that your IT guy really is backing you up the way they should and not leaving you exposed to ransomware? If you're not sure, then at least allow us to send you, let us do this. We call it a penetration test. Let us do this cybersecurity risk assessment. And if we can get in, we can prove that you're not secure. And so the advantage, and the other thing when you're selling a consult, there has to be value to the prospect, even if they don't buy. And a lot of people don't understand that. What are you going to learn? What are you going to give me? What am I going to get? If I spend an hour with you, what am I going to get? So you got to build the value of it so that even if I don't buy, there's still, value. So with the cybersecurity risk assessment, you basically get an independent third party proofreading the work of your current IT company, because we make the argument nobody should proofread their own work. They just can't. So, that's that with the consultation gets somebody who's a little bit more open. They're more aware of the problem. They might have been thinking about replacing their IT guy, but they don't know who to call, so they're a little bit warmer. They're further down the road, if you will, in the awareness of a problem. And they're kind of concerned about it. Cybersecurity, for the people that my clients sell to, is a big problem. If you're a solo entrepreneur, you're probably not thinking too much about it. But, when you start running a $50-100 million a year company and you've got, private data on your network and credit cards or medical information and contracts, you don't want to hope that your IT guy has you protected, because ransomware is not just about getting the data back. See, I could do a whole session on cybercrime and scare the bejesus out of everybody. If you knew what was going on, you guys don't even know what's going on. They're not going to just like ransom you to get your data back. They're going to say, I was just sitting with a private equity guy. I said, you could get your data back and you could pay the ransom, and this guy's rich. And I'm like, it doesn't matter, but do you really want to go to your clients? Because they're going to post all this information online. Do you really want to go to your clients and say all the deals that we did were what we sold your company for and what the terms were? You want that published online? So it's not just about getting data back. It's about preventing that, because that's what they're doing now. They're posting this data, because if they get in to hack into your network, they got your entire email address. They know all your customers. They know all your employees, and they'll just send them emails with, hey, here's what's payroll in your company, or hey, here's all the deals. It's out there on the dark web, just like Hillary's emails. They're all there.
I bet you John Gruden would pay for this service today.
Who would?
John Gruden? I don't know. Do you know who John is?
No.
Unaware? Well, I guess he's a former football coach now whose 10-year-old emails just got him canceled from the NFL along with a bunch of other stuff. And yes.
Yeah, that's the kind of stuff that happens. So anyway, that lead generation offer, what we're selling in the console is the peace of mind that you'll either know that you're exposed so you can do something about it, or you're going to, it'll be a good confirmation that you got a good IT company or an IT guy or gal in your office and they're doing what they should. So why wouldn't you sign up for it? It's free. It's a risk-free way of learning and not supposing, but knowing that you are protected. So that's why I'm saying you have to have multiple lead generation. There's free information is always going to be the stock standard because it's the easiest, it's the widest part of the funnel. The consultation, whether it's a phone consultation, is going to be the next narrowed down lead generation step in the funnel. And then, of course, the sale afterwards.
Robin, before we close today, I know that we've got a hard stop in about 9 minutes. Why don't you talk a little bit about a situation that we've had with Kids Bowl Free as an example, which is these free offers. You can't just put a free offer up and expect people to take it. You got to actually sell it because oftentimes people are like, wow, is that too good to be true? Why don't you talk about some of the thought process and the energy that goes into making sure somebody actually takes your, quote, free offer because, geez, there's free offers everywhere, and I'm not sure if I want your free offer.
Yeah, I mean, free information is, like you said, it's everywhere, and people, no one needs it, so to speak. And so the title of the information is supremely important. And, so if you put out a report that was like, let's say somebody put out a report that was like, I don't know, good IT support, personified or some boring, like nobody's downloading that. They are going to download 21 questions, critical questions you need to ask any IT person before giving them access to your network. See, that's a lot juicier. Yep. And so when you're selling information, it's the headline test like Kennedy talked about. If I have that headline and a phone number or a link under it, would somebody click on that based on the headline alone? So the headline is critical for free information. If you can flag the prospect you want in the headline, it's even better. So if I say, 21 critical questions you should ask, if I put, if I say 21 critical questions every chiropractor needs to ask their IT guy, then I just made it juicier. So the more you can dial that into the specifics of your customer, your prospect, who you want, the more you touch in and tie into the problem that they have, that's really key because if my guys do this occasionally, they'll just go on the website and say free consultation with a form below it. And then they call me up and they're saying, we're doing your marketing just the way you told us to, and it doesn't work. And it's like, that's not what I told you to do. So you got to sell free information as though it costs money. It takes that because you're trying to break through the attention barrier. There's friction. People are busy, they're overwhelmed. They got a lot going on. So you've got to sell them all the way through, and you can't be weak or mealy. You can't be confusing. You got to be, clarity is you want to be clear rather than clever, right? And that's another thing. People try to be clever. Like, I had one of my clients do a seminar and the title was Looks Cloudy. What you need to know to move to the cloud or something. And I was like, oh my God. I was like, I fell asleep halfway through reading the title of that stupid thing. I'm like, I have no CEO is going to take 2 hours and go to a seminar for cloud computing. It's not going to happen. Yep. So you got to make sure you tie it into what that prospect's interested in selling.
So Robin, this has been really great and I appreciate your time today. You've been hanging around this community for a very long time, and if someone were sitting out on the fence and they were like, geez, I don't know if this Dan Kennedy guy is someone I should follow or this No BS community is a place I belong, what in the world would you tell them?
Well, obviously I'd say sign up. I mean, I signed up at a Peter Lowe event back in 1998 where I saw him speak on stage. I was in sales. And it just instantly, I didn't have to think about it. I didn't have to go, is this worth it? The message he delivered was spot on, and I signed up, and I haven't looked back since. If I think people get on Dan because, oh, he's old fashioned, he likes faxing and all the rest of it. And I think that's that's really the wrong way of looking at it, because I don't know of anybody who is better at the psychology of the sale and influence and persuasion. I don't know of anybody who's better than Dan. And I don't care if you're using email, Facebook, whatever new technology that's going to come out. The fundamentals, the core fundamentals that Dan teaches, if you understand that, I mean, you can cook in any kitchen. It's like, once I've gone to culinary school and I know the fundamentals of how to cook a steak and how to cook a meal, whatever it is, you can put me in any kitchen with any kind of setup, with any kind of ingredients, like chopped, right? Yep. And I'm going to be able to come up with something pretty brilliant because I got the core fundamentals. But I think that there's a big disservice. I think there's a lot of gurus out there who are selling the new tool or gadget or easy button. And I think that the problem is, it's the blind leading the blind. And you got to really, once you master the fundamentals, everything else is easy, because it doesn't matter what media it is, I can make it work because I understand the fundamentals. But if all you understand is the media and you don't understand the fundamentals, it's pushing a rope uphill. You're going to either fail, or you're going to have a lot suppressed results over what you could have if you really mastered the fundamentals. And that's what Dan and GKIC is all about.
Well, Robin, I truly appreciate your time. And, when you do have these tools, you can pick them up and move them to any niche. And certainly, if the IT niche blew up tomorrow, I would bet in 30 days or less, you'd be off in some other niche and having extreme success rather quickly because of what you know and how you know how to implement. And certainly for those of us, like your event, when you had to go virtual, you knew you could use some of the tools that you've learned from Dan and from the community to go to virtual very quickly, even though it wasn't in a room and even though it wasn't preferential. You had the capability and the tools and the know-how to make that happen literally on the flip of a switch.
Yeah, and that's the confidence. Really mastering fundamentals gives you confidence, and you can move ahead. And I think everybody who's watching this or thinking about this, there's decisions you need to make in your business, things you need to do, and you're not doing them. And that's what's keeping you in misery and mediocrity. And it's because it's a fear of the unknown, like you don't know what to do. But once you get to master the fundamentals of business, of marketing, of money and how money flows, which is what Dan teaches, you have the confidence that you can like I said, I can cook in any kitchen, because I know the fundamentals.
Well, Robin, thank you again for your time today. I hope you have a great afternoon, and I appreciate your time. For all of our viewers, we hope you enjoyed this session. If you haven't got a copy of the book yet, go to whyadvertisingfails.com/book. You can get a copy of the book. Also, if you'd like to take a test drive, you can grab the most incredible free gift ever, and you'll get a 60-day trial of the newsletter along with all the Magnetic Marketing Live interviews each and every month. You'll get access to the community, and we'll be back with you in just about 10 minutes, and Dan Kennedy will be with us just after the break.
All right, give Dan a big kiss on the lips for me, all right? You, Darren, I want you to do it. Yeah.
Well, he's in the room, but he just heard you.
Right. Awesome.
The only one.
All right. Oh, good. Okay. Very cool. Thank you.